Hello, good afternoon, and I guess if you're part of the replay crew, you could be watching this at any time of the day. I'm DC. I am a graphic designer by day and amateur commentator the rest of the time. I am a multi-level marketing dropout, and I talk a little bit about everything here on my page, but mostly I focus on unethical business practices, unethical behaviors within multi-level marketing companies. We talk about polarizing figures, topics, stances, and while we do all that, I like to keep my page clear of disparaging comments, bullying, and hate. And I think you can still have a constructive and pointed conversation without falling into ad hominem attacks. And that's what I like to do here today. We're looking at a Plexus team training Zoom call that Dave allowed me to share. And I am going to be blurring out the faces because they are not public figures. And before we start, I'm going to play the intro. If you are sensitive to flashing lights, please you can look away. When the music stops, you will be able to tune back in and the flashing lights will be over. Let's get into it. I am very excited to talk about this today. Hey, Avery. Plexus is one I don't normally hear about, so this should be interesting. I think it's going to be interesting. There's lots of health claims. And Rob, I hope you have some good comments for this because it's pretty wide array of health claims, income claims in indirect ways. And I'm also going to be showing graphics of the Byte model on the screen as she's talking so that you can reference it and see what's going on. The Byte model was created by Dr. Stephen Hassan. You can find it on his website. I have taken the information and formatted it so that it will be good on the screen here, hopefully. And I'm going to go ahead and queue up the video. And I actually have it loaded before we start. So they always have to have indirect. Yes. And it feels very sneaky the way, not sneaky. I don't know what the right word is, but it doesn't, the way that she tells her story, it seems like she is inadvertently making these claims. She's telling her story, but you get attached to this idea that she overcame all of these incredible health problems. And she also diminishes a lot of things regarding getting pregnant, postpartum depression. She characterizes it as real or unreal. And I have lots of things to say. I'm not in the medical field. I am not, I'm just one person listening to this as potentially someone who could represent her target market. I'm hoping to show you some of the things she's saying so that if you are an MLM or if you're thinking about joining Plexus, maybe we don't. Maybe we don't. All right. And I have blurred her face. I have cut out dead spaces in the video. You are going to see a few still shots of her over guests on the Zoom call to account for mess ups in audio. So that is the only, and I did clip about 30 seconds off the end when they were just saying, you're great, and you're great, and you're great. And so that is and I cut off the beginning, about 30 seconds from the beginning where they said, oh, thank you so much for remembering to record. I want to say that up front because, and I did adjust the audio because it was very pingy before, and hopefully this will be a better listening experience. And if I'm echoing, please let me know.
To be here. I love Kim, and she did a great call for our team that people are still talking about, raving about, and that I still refer to. So I appreciate it and love pouring back into you guys. And I know it's a little bit late for many of you because you're on East Coast time. So, I'll try to keep it interesting. I'll try to keep you guys awake. I'll try to fire you up, but still help you be able to go to sleep tonight. But I am a mom of 6 kids. My kids are between the ages of 4 and 15. And I started my Plexus business 6.5 years ago, right after the birth of my 5th child. I did not start for the business. I wasn't looking for a business. I started for the health benefits because I was really struggling. I had been someone that had had postpartum depression on and off, and really bad postpartum depression after my 4th baby. And I was going to be done having kids. I was totally done. I had only ever had a vision of having 4 boys. I'd actually had a
That is a great question. I think it has to do, or I think there's a part of it where you're working your business into time, but it also hits on some of the points in the Byte model with sleep deprivation. And I think they're doing it inadvertently. I don't think they necessarily are saying, we're going to see who's committed and we're going to do it late. I think that it is an unintended consequence that plays into the Byte model with what they're doing with this Zoom call.
Dream before we even ever had kids, and there were 4 boys fishing with their dad. And so I was like, great, I had my 4 boys. I'm totally done. And this is horrible. And I'm in just such a bad place. But a few years later, my heart was softened and I had this inspiration and revelation that we were supposed to have another child. And
Sorry, my asthma is bad today. Hey, you shouldn't lose sleep because of the business, but you should join this call at 9 p.m. Yes. And she just said something interesting. I'm not attempting to be critical about someone else's positioning on their faith. I find a point of contention when you are doing it in this setting in a business call, when it can be used to unduly influence and manipulate the other people. And I'll let her finish. She's talking about how she had divine inspiration, dreams about having more kids, and I'll just let her finish, and I'm going to take another puff of my inhaler.
I really didn't necessarily want to have another child, but I told my husband, and he definitely wasn't excited about the idea because he had to live through the postpartum. And has anybody here had postpartum depression, like legitimate postpartum depression? It's hard for you, but it's also hard for your partner, and they miss their wife and they miss.
I have never been able to have kids, and one thing that I find difficult is she seems to be saying, yes, this may be incredibly hard for you, but it's incredibly hard for your partner. And I am an atheist myself, but I don't like how manipulative these people are with religion. Religion should never be used against someone to get them to do something. Exactly right, Avery. Exactly right.
Their partner, and like they just want their wife back. And so I think he was really nervous about it. But after 6 months, I never pushed him on it. I wasn't that kind of wife, like, come on, or let me trick you or whatever. I don't believe in that. But 6 months later, I'd come out of that dark hole of postpartum depression, and he was like, okay, I think you're right. And so I got pregnant with Lily, and that's the biggest gap I have. My first 4 were 2 years apart. And then I have about 3 years and 4 months between my 4th and my 5th, and then 2 years between my 5th and my 6th. But the reason I share that story is because I was totally closed to the idea of having more kids, except that I had that revelation that was. So
he's talking about revelation again, and I think it might be on this. Let me try to pull this up. I think it's the emotional control, and I'm still a little new at this. So under emotional control, manipulate and narrow the range of feelings. Some emotions and or needs are deemed as evil, wrong, or selfish. And I think she's hitting on some of these emotional controls here when she's describing the impact of postpartum depression on her partner. And I don't know if it's exactly specifically meets. I don't think it necessarily meets all of these, but I think it's something to think about as she's talking, because when I was in my multi-level marketing company, I thought something feels wrong. I can't articulate it. And when I found the Byte model and the tools to be able to say, oh, they're doing this, and this is how it's impacting, and that is why that could be a reason that there's an issue.
Supposed to happen, and I persisted, in a very patient way. I knew that it was going to happen eventually, but I also remembered where I came from and what that experience was to go through postpartum depression. I was also exhausted all the time. I was drinking multiple Diet Cokes a day.
She's talking about being exhausted, and then she's talking about she's painting Diet Coke in a bad light. I think, and again, I'm still new at this in terms of being able to say, oh, that's in this category of the Byte model. She seems to begin to subtly instill, and I guess it's on this slide, instilling fear. And this is obviously having to do with the cult, but it's also, I think, partly information control, or starting to do that about, I say demonizing, not in a religious term, but in this information is bad, or those foods are bad, or those things are bad. And I'm about to tell you the answer.
Huge sugar cravings because I didn't know back then, but I probably had really bad adrenal fatigue and my hormones were probably shot.
If you're listening and you can't see the screen, Avery just said this is definitely a lot of emotional control.
And I was just exhausted trying to survive through the day. I had a lot of anxiety. I would lose my temper with my kids and yell at them. And I hated being that kind of mom because you're supposed to love your kids and, be so
going through difficult times doesn't mean
excited that they're.
What in the world did I just do? Hold on. Okay, that must just be an issue on my deal. Apologies.
I don't believe in supplements or time. I was drinking multiple Diet Cokes a day. I had huge sugar cravings because I didn't know back then, but I probably had really bad adrenal fatigue and my hormones were probably shot. And I was just exhausted trying to survive through the day. I had a lot of anxiety. I would lose my temper with my kids and yell at them. And I hated being that kind of mom because you're supposed to love your.
I don't think that losing your temper or being irritable means that you do not love your kids. And again, it feels like she's starting to say there needs to be some control about what, and there seems to be some control about how you are around your kids that says to the world or to them that you love them. And I think there's a more dynamic approach with being open about some of your struggles when it's appropriate and age appropriate, to show them this is what's going on, this is how we deal with it, so that when they get older, they're not surprised that being an adult looks a lot different than what they saw at home.
Your kids and, be so excited that they're here. But my nerves were shot and my husband was working 80 hours a week. And so I was kind of single parenting and all of this was going on, but we agreed there was another child for us. We had that child. I stepped away from nursing while I was pregnant with my fifth because I had lost my love for being a nurse. I realized it wasn't my calling anymore. I didn't want to do it. And I was only doing it out of fear.
So again, in the beginning, when she was talking about Diet Cokes and starting to say I was eating and drinking this way, which I deemed as bad, and I was in a bad period of my life, that is, again, that this probably unintentionally on her part, playing into this behavior control of undue influence. And one of these items I just want to bring your attention to is, where did it go? Regulate diet, food and drink. And obviously she is an independent contractor for the health and wellness company. I say that with quotes loosely, Plexus, a multi-level marketing company. And she's going to play into some of these as well.
That if I let it go, I wouldn't have like sort of like a fallback or something. You know, being a child of divorce, like you often want to fall back or something, like to fall back.
Yes, and she did work a lot, and she also is going to say later on that she was working as a nurse as well when she still had 4 kids, and so she and her husband were definitely busy.
But I had a moment of clarity where it was like, it is time to shut the door on that. So I shut the door on that in February. I gave birth to Lily in July. I joined Plexus in September. And my friend had been reaching out to me for a year and a half. And I was always a no, I'm not interested. I don't believe in supplements, or I ignored her messages for a year and a half. But it was the very act of getting pregnant and having Lily that humbled me sufficiently to be like, hey, maybe I need something, because I could start to feel myself going down that postpartum. And I was so afraid to go back to that place. I was willing to do anything. I also did not produce enough milk. And I'm a huge believer in breastfeeding. And if
I'm just going to say this, and I can't speak to it because I've never been able to have kids, but my belief is that a fed baby is the best baby. If you cannot produce milk, then there are incredible formulas available. And to shame other people or to paint this idea that there's only one better type of way, even though she is saying it indirectly, is disingenuous. And it's not, I don't feel like it is an ethical way to present information, because people are on this call watching her, and what she is saying is influencing the people who are watching. And I don't know who is going to be able to find this video and watch, but please do not take what she is saying as something that is true. And even as she says later on, and before that, she was a nurse, don't let what she did for her job and her certifications diminish what you decide to do. Yes. Rob said, agree that formula is okay. Formula shaming makes me sad. It makes me sad too. It does.
You can, great. If you can't, no judgment. But for me, that was really important. And I wasn't making enough milk. I was exhausted. She was really croupy, fussy, gassy. She was like the baby that would cry for an hour or 2 at night. Anybody had a baby like that? I was like, oh my goodness, I've never had a baby like this. And it just brought me to my knees, to where one night I saw my friend post a tub of frozen breast milk. And I was like, all right, if that'll do it, fine, I'll try it. And so I messaged her, I signed up that night, and I didn't even wait for my products to come. I asked her if she had some stuff, and she did. I drove to her house the next day and I started on my products. And within about 7 to 10 days, I really did start to feel like a different person.
Avery said, there's a reason formula exists. Yes, there are so many reasons, by choice or by medical fragility. There's such a wide range of people who need, of babies who need formula, and they cannot survive without it. And there should not be shame around doing the best by your child, whatever that looks like.
I could get out of bed in the morning without hitting snooze on the alarm 10 times. I didn't ever fall into that postpartum depression or anxiety. I was able to exclusively nurse my daughter till 14 months, which I'd never been able to do.
So she, but she is now painting this picture. After she has joined this company, she is able to do all these things that she found valuable to herself, and she has created this value on the importance of this herself. And yes, is it great if you do want to be able to breastfeed, that you are able to? Sure, I do see that is a win for her, but she's using it in the context to say all of this is because of this opportunity in this product that I'm about to pitch you, or that you're already selling, and that's why you should believe in it even more.
I started to sleep, even though I was getting up to nurse throughout the night. Like I could fall back asleep and I would wake up in the morning feeling like a human. My headaches went away in the morning. My Diet Coke addiction, 2, 3, 4 every day, I got rid of. My candy cabinet, I got rid of. Like so many different things. And I was like, honestly shocked because I was so adamant against supplements as a former fitness trainer and instructor and nurse. I have 2 degrees in health and I thought all this stuff was hogwash. But sometimes it's those like struggles that we have. And I think you guys will agree that like bring us to our knees and make us open to try something. And that was my story. I was finally open because I was in such a bad place. And so 10 days in.
I just want to bring this idea over here, the thought control, and it's not a requirement, but she is the groups, like she is supporting her own personal groups, her team's belief that Plexus and the Plexus products hold all of this value and all of these answers for you if you have these questions. And I would say that her perspective is her opinion and her perspective. It doesn't reflect necessarily the truth of a situation. And because they're having all these Zooms, that she is participating in this at least a little bit.
And I was sharing with my friend my results. And she's like, you should put a post up. And I was like, I just kind of laughed inside because you guys, I had 150 Facebook friends and I was not an influencer.
I'm sorry to hear that, Deanne. I think that the message that kind of is shared by these people, by people who share these ideas that there's only one right way to feed the baby, impacts everyone else when they are trying to figure out how to take care of their own baby. And I'm sorry that that happened. I'm glad that she's okay now.
In any way, shape, or form. I did not post regularly on Facebook. I was not on Instagram. And I didn't have a lot of friends. If you've ever struggled with anxiety or depression and you have kids, you know it can be very isolating. And so I was actually really quite isolated. I did have those 150 Facebook friends. And I just decided, okay, well, what the heck? I'll just put a post up. And so there's this post with me coming back from the gym after teaching a class with like my 7 or 8 week old on my hip and a pink drink in my hand. And I basically said, there's no way I should be feeling.
If you don't know what the pink drink is, everyone will take a picture with their pink drink and talk about how amazing it is and how it's fixed all these things. And so if you hear someone talk about a pink drink, they're associated with Plexus. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. She's 10 now and is great. That's incredible. That is incredible.
Feeling this good 8 weeks postpartum with my 5th baby. And I was just kind of being honest, like as a mom with kids. And I was shocked because like 8 different people reached out to me that were like, what is that? Like, what are you doing? I'm struggling too. And that's where my business began. It just began but from the challenge of my friend to put a post up and me deciding, what the heck? Like nobody's going to see it anyways. Nobody's going to care because I never post. And you just never know who's watching. So I signed all 8 of those people up without knowing what I was doing. They all became preferred customers, which if you're new to the business, you don't even know what that is. But preferred customer is our old version of VIP customer. I didn't even know how to sign someone up as an ambassador. So I didn't go silver right away because I didn't know. And like a couple days later, my friend messages me. She's like, wow, you have 1,200 PV. That's amazing.
The way that she has described the opportunity is deceptive at how bad she thought she was going to be at it, how successful she was with such limited people that she had available in her warmer market. And what is that going to say to the people on this call or the new people looking to potentially sign up with Plexus or on her team? It's not painting a picture that provides the potential recruit with enough information. It's participating in that information control because she's not sharing a complete dynamic picture that advocates for the potential recruit. It's making her seem better so that anyone would want to sign up with her, in my opinion. But that is how it comes across as she's saying this.
How about we get you silver? And so I went silver in October. I joined in September. I went silver in October. I went gold in December, senior gold in January, ruby in February, senior ruby in March, emerald in April, sapphire in June, and diamond in September. So I went diamond about 11 to 12 months after I joined. And then from there, we just kept going. We were kind of steamrolling. And I re-entered in February. So diamond in September, re-entered in February, and I went diamond again a year and a half after that. So that's unique about our compensation plan because you can go to the top and you can re-enter underneath yourself. There we go. You can re-enter and start at the very bottom from silver and go all the way to diamond again. And so I did that before I built my husband to diamond. My husband was a
ghost account? I know that some companies allow a ghost or a partner account. In Young Living, they did allow a spouse account, but in the contract, it says we can terminate this account at any time. So it's obviously built into some of these contracts, but she's basically creating two teams for herself. Is her husband really actually building his own team? She just said that she built his leg or his line for him.
I think he was a ruby when I went diamond the first time. And I chose to just continue to kind of barrel through. I ended up hitting reentry fairly quickly, added some people there, and that leg really took off. So I just decided to keep my focus on that leg. And then once I did that, I came back around and we got him to diamond in June of 2020, which was about.
Again, in this information control part of the Byte model, deception is the first point. Deliberately withhold information. And she is doing that, painting this picture that she didn't have a lot of people and she was incredibly successful just trying it out. And now she's here at close to the top, or maybe closer to the upper portion of the compensation plan. And that's just, at least be aware. If you're thinking about joining Plexus or any other multi-level marketing company, be aware of the potential undue influence. What is being left out of the conversation? And I think being aware of that is going to empower you to advocate for yourself better.
About 4.5 years into the business. So in 4.5 years, we went diamond 3 times. It was crazy. And it was incredible, and it was hard, and it was also really miraculous. And so I'll be the first one.
Not miraculous. It's specifically tangible and measurable by your activity, the compensation plan you participated in, and how many people dropped off. That's not miraculous. It's just how the compensation plan works. Okay, I'll let her keep talking.
To say that, I worked really hard, but also God's hand was really in my business. I did my.
Okay, so if his hand was on her business, then what about the other people doing the exact same or more than she is doing? Does that mean necessarily that his hand is not on their business? I don't think that God has any interest in business models that deceive people. That's just my perspective. And I don't think he cares. I think he cares if you're lying to people. I think that, yes, stop it. Stop bringing up religion. Yeah. Like I'm going to be good. What the F?
Business the way that I felt like I needed to do my business at that time. I don't believe that everybody's story is to go really fast. I don't believe that everybody should take the same trajectory or should feel any pressure.
This just contradicts what she just said about God's hand being on her business. that she is explaining away why some people don't necessarily have the same results that she has. Yeah, I think God has better things to do, and that's my perspective. I'm not. I just get that feeling.
To build a business at any particular speed. So when I share my story and people are like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? Or wow, that's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. But that's just what I felt inspired that I was supposed to do. I felt like I was supposed to really dig in.
She's saying this. She had all these feelings, and her team is listening, being influenced. So they are probably going to try to duplicate or create the same plan to try to get the same results that she did. And she's bringing in all of this faith in religious manipulation, and it confuses the heck out of everyone. Hey.
I felt like I was really supposed to go for it, not necessarily for all the reasons that I didn't really understand all the reasons. Have you ever had an inspiration in your life where you're like, I don't really understand why I'm doing this or why I'm supposed to do this, but I just really feel like I'm supposed to do this?
I don't know. Let me know in the chat. Have you ever felt that way? I don't think that you should place so much weight on thinking, hey, I might want to do this or not. I know that she is, I don't know. It seems to be that she is creating this storyline about speaking to the people and encouraging them to do the business. I can and I can't. Again, bringing up this, the phobia indoctrination, I feel it seems like she has already done that in the beginning, that she had all these health problems, that she had all these mental health problems, chemical imbalances after having her kids, talking about, and again, the phobia indoctrination is specifically talking about leaving the group. And that I think has happened more in others. I can't speak to Plexus because I've never been in Plexus, but it's the same idea. It's the same idea about what she was speaking to earlier. I'm going to press play and I'm going to get better at switching screens.
Anybody ever had an experience, doesn't have to be Plexus, but something else? Maybe it's like you feel like you're supposed to take dinner to a friend of yours, or you feel like you're supposed to go to this dinner, or you feel like you're supposed to do something and like you really don't want to, but you feel like you're supposed to, and you're a willing participant. Okay. So I was a willing participant in whatever God wanted me to do.
Stop it. There should be some standard of care when you are using your influence. And I'm not perfect. I know I make mistakes here on this platform, trying to speak to these ideas and stay away from the line of ad hominem attacks. I'm not going to be perfect about it, but I'm going to try to do that every time. That's why I try not to comment on people's appearance in a good or a bad way, because I don't want that to influence you to potentially receive the information that I am telling you in a better light. Meaning, if I have something hard to say about someone, I don't want to balance that and say, oh, well, they look great or their hair looks great or whatever, because it seems to be, and as an audience member, you hear that and you think, oh, well, she's not that critical. And it makes you more open to hearing the criticism I have to say. I don't want any extra favors. I don't want to try to stay away from influencing you unduly. And am I going to be perfect at that all the time? No. Am I trying to do that? Yes. So I don't know. I don't know why I said that, but it's definitely not for a reason she said whatever God is doing all this stuff and telling her to do these things. I don't know. I have an issue with the ethical side of her being a leader and having a lot of influence and potentially harming a lot of people.
That's like literally, I didn't decide like, oh, I want to build an empire in Plexus. Like, I just wanted to be able to get out of bed. I just wanted to be able to stop.
Ignore the cognitive dissonance is what she's saying. Yes. Serving other people and selling them something doesn't really correspond. I think that's fair.
Screaming at my kids like a crazy woman. I just wanted to be able to, it also got rid of my baby's gas and colic, my Lily, and she became the most pleasant baby I ever had. That's another part of my testimonial. But I just really wanted to.
How can these testimonials include like health claims from the product? I thought these were supplements. I thought there was a limit on what you could say something can and can't do, especially if that means that it's impacting someone purchasing the product that you're selling. I thought there was clearer, more strict lines about stuff like this.
Feel like myself. I didn't come to do a business, but once I knew I was supposed to do a business, which was a series of events, I didn't question it. And how often have you received a personal revelation or inspiration and questioned it?
You should question. Questions are welcome. Questions are not dangerous. I want to encourage you to not play into this idea that asking questions somehow takes away from the shininess of the opportunity that you're already a part of or that you're thinking about joining, or in any situation in life. Questions are not harmful. They're just questions. They're just helping you get answers. That's it. And a lot of people, it seems like on some of these teams, intentionally or unintentionally make questions dangerous. And that's not the case. They become dangerous because they uncover the deceptions that are being participated in. But let me try to find it. I don't think it's thought control. Is it information control? Yeah. I think it's under. I'll just keep playing it, and I'll leave this slide up for now.
And been like, well, but the kids, or well, but work, or well, I don't really like social media, or I don't really have the time for that, or I don't really want to do it. Do I really need to be doing that? Like, and you have this clear impression or this burning in your heart or this feeling, and you instinctively question it like right away. And you delay and you procrastinate.
Yeah, I have this in a Google. I have the original one in a Dave has the original one in the Google Doc, so I think that either he or I are going to be sending it because this is just a whole moment of no.
Stop doing that. Stop it.
You stop it.
Like, you are getting in the way of not only your blessings, but other people's blessings.
No, incorrect. Do not feel that you have to choose something if you don't feel comfortable doing it. You can ask questions. You can wait until all of your answers have been provided to you where you can make an informed decision. That is healthy. This pushing you to decide before you are able to do the research or even get the specific answers you need, it feels dangerous in that she might be pushing people to do things that they should not be doing. And I say that loosely because this is a business model, but is it opening the doors for people to be exploited financially? I think so. That's my opinion. Is it opening the doors for people to be harmed emotionally, potentially, because she's encouraging this idea of thought-stopping behavior? I think so. And I don't know. Oh, wow. Hey, Beth. I was in Plexus, and this is exactly how it was. Wow. I don't feel like a ton of people talk about Plexus, but I'm happy to look at this video with everyone because I'm shocked. I literally am so shocked right now.
And so I did hit the ground running, and I had a newborn. And when I was going, through the process of, going double diamond, I got pregnant and I had another baby. Like, oh my goodness, talk about crazy.
I just want to bring this up really quickly. The thought stopping techniques, which shut down reality testing by stopping negative thoughts and allowing only positive thoughts. This is some of what she was doing a few moments ago about saying, stop thinking, just do it. And that is part of this undue influence that we are trying to uncover. And am I trying to harm the company? No, but there are people who are participating in undue influence. They are manipulating others, either intentionally or unintentionally, and empowering them with knowledge is what I do want to do. And specifically saying what she says here, this is what I'm talking about. She is encouraging thought stopping techniques, and that is part of undue influence. And we're not here for that. We're not here to exploit people or to harm people.
But I did it in the way that I felt like I was supposed to do it. And the number one tip I would give you is follow inspiration. Stop questioning, stop delaying, stop procrastinating, stop using your own wisdom or your own excuses or your own reasons why you can't do something, and be like, okay, well, if I'm supposed to do it, show me how. Show me how. I don't have the network. I didn't have the network. I didn't have the social media.
It would be a completely different story if this was a sales call training a team, or even a recruiting call speaking to customers and saying, here is the information that I started with. I had 150 friends on Facebook. I had a smaller following on Instagram. There were people who followed me on Instagram that didn't follow me on Facebook. These are the steps that I took to start sharing the product in a social setting by posting to Facebook, by posting to Instagram. And I believed that the drink made me feel better. And I was surprised because I hadn't felt good after my other after my other births. I that's it. And here's what I would recommend doing. I would recommend I don't even know how you would do that if you're only interested in social selling. And I don't know how to do it without making medical claims or health claims, because they should not be doing this. I don't think they're allowed to make medical claims, especially when their products aren't associated with any clinical testing or clinical trials. I don't know. I'm baffled.
Media following. I didn't have any of those things, but I was a willing participant. Like, okay, this is how you learn how to use Facebook. Okay, I'll learn how to use Facebook. Okay, learn how to get on Instagram. Okay, this is how you use Instagram. Everything I had to learn from the beginning. I didn't even know how to tag somebody on Facebook. I remember a couple weeks in, my friend that signed me up, she was like, so I tagged you on some stuff. And she was telling me all along she was tagging me on stuff. And finally, after a couple of weeks, I was like, Amy, so kind of embarrassed to tell you this, but I don't know what you mean when you say tag. What does that mean? So when I'm telling you I had to learn everything, I had to learn everything.
I can appreciate that she said this, that my knowledge was limited in how to maneuver the social platforms. And in learning how to maneuver them, I became more successful in using them to find people who wanted to try my drink. Now, can I say that she did that ethically and in compliance? Sure doesn't sound like it based on what is being talked about in this training that we're watching.
From the bottom to the top, but be a willing participant. If you feel inspired, it doesn't matter what.
Let me know in the comments, in the live chat. Replay crew, leave me a comment if you have the answer to this. If you have ever been approached by someone in Plexus, can you let me know? Or if you've ever tried the pink drink, let me know. I know someone in Plexus, but I've never been cold messaged by a Plexus person, which I kind of appreciate, but I'm guessing it happens. So if you've ever had a run-in with a Plexus independent contractor, let me know.
is going on in your life. It doesn't matter what obstacles you have. It doesn't matter how hard it seems. It doesn't matter how unlikely it seems. It doesn't matter how much of an underdog you are. It doesn't matter how busy you are, how many kids you have, what you're doing for work. If you feel inspired, follow the prompting and just start acting. I love this quote by Gail Devers. She says, keep your dreams alive. Understanding to achieve anything requires faith and belief in yourself, vision.
I'll let her finish.
Hard work, determination, and dedication. Remember, all things are possible for those who believe. All things are possible.
No. I don't think so. I don't think that is accurate. I just don't think that quote's accurate. And that sure does sound good because it supports the message that she's trying to deliver here. It's that same idea about using quotes out of context for which they were written to make your paper or your point sound better. And this doesn't make sense because there are a lot of people who their faith and their belief doesn't change the outcome of their situation and they are not successful. It's not a mathematical formula. And she's using it to push people to either run harder for her team or sign up with her team. It seems like that. Those are just my impressions from what I'm watching here. Exactly. Rob said, hard no, all things are not available to those who believe. Yes.
For those who believe. And of course, we believe that we have a loving Father in heaven, whatever that is for you. I believe, like, I have a loving Father in heaven. I believe that I have the ability to communicate through prayer and personal inspiration and revelation. And if he tells me to do something,
I'm going to say this, if you're watching this video and you're listening to her and it's either solidifying stuff you already believe or it's rubbing you like it's rubbing me the wrong way. You should always weigh and test whatever you believe an entity is telling you in your mind. You need to you should weigh every piece of information, even the things that I am telling you. If I'm saying something wrong, let me know, for one. And two, don't take any one person on a platform like that their message is the gospel, whatever that means to you. Is people get stuff wrong all the time, and you need to do that. If in her situation, she's telling people, I listen to this higher power, there's no guardrails on that. And she's using it for the purpose of getting someone to sign up on her team or getting people to stay on her team or to work harder on her team. And I find a huge issue with that. I believe I'm a Victoria's Secret model, so that must make it true. I mean, Karina, we know how spicy and you could totally do that. So I'm team Karina for Victoria's Secret for sure. But yes, I understand what you're saying.
I'm going to do it. And the reason I started building the business was because I went to an opportunity meeting that my sponsor invited me to. I had been on the products for 2 weeks. So I had just...
Sorry, the blurring is, she keeps moving around. So it's hard to cut everything to keep her face. And then I haven't learned how to track it in Premiere Pro. So my apologies.
Started to wake up, get myself back. I had this little baby. And there were 2 diamonds coming over from the Emerald Extravaganza trip. And Alec Clark was coming over to Kauai and they were going to do a meeting. And she's like, oh my gosh, you have to come. It's going to be amazing. The president, Alec Clark, is going to be there. And I was like, I don't care. I don't know who he is. Like, it literally meant nothing to me, but
anytime someone brings up God, religion, faith in connection with jobs, work, and amazing opportunity, I am immediately not interested. That's absolutely fair. I am the same way. I mean, yeah, I am trying to, if you're specifically not a public figure, I'm trying to blur and be respectful. I haven't necessarily considered blurring other people that are public figures. And again, I know that and if you're in the live chat or if you're in the replay crew, we obviously have big feelings, or I have big feelings, and maybe some of you do too, about multi-level marketing, the exploitation that happens, the harm that seems to follow them around with their contact with independent contractors, and the reiteration that we're not sending these people targeted harassment, we're not bullying, we're not disparaging, we are not diagnosing. And that being said, I also don't want to fall into the information control part of the Byte model. So if you do want to go look at this person's YouTube or Instagram and need that contact information, I am happy to send it to you. And I'm sending it to you for the purpose of not participating in information control. And I will say I will not share that publicly. So if you need to get in contact with me, best place to do it is DMs on Instagram, and I'll put my handle down here, and we'll keep playing.
Wanted me to come. And so I just wanted to be a good friend and support her. But man, it was an hour-long drive. I had to take a newborn baby, but I just wanted to be a good friend. And I took my baby in tow, nursed her in the back of the room, listened to everything, listened to her talk about her dreams for her family, her vision for her family, how she wanted to road school them, and how she wanted to bring her husband home. And she spoke with
this idea that continues to be perpetuated across multi-level marketing companies and independent reps. And I won't say multi-level marketing companies, but I have heard some people at the C-level in some multi-level marketing companies talk about this, of bringing your husband home or bringing your partner home or whatever that looks like. And my thought is, or bringing your spouse home. My thought is, don't get trapped into something because you are painted or provided a small glimpse of a picture where potentially someone is participating in information or information and thought control. Do what's best for your family. And would I love for people to not be in multi-level marketing companies or not join? Sure, I would. If you are still in that spot of being in and being undecided, advocate for yourself. If you don't think that bringing your partner home is in the best interest of your family, don't do it. And don't succumb to the pressure that all of these people are placing on others intentionally and unintentionally by reiterating this message that bringing their spouse home, or they know someone who brought their spouse home, or I brought my spouse home. If something goes wrong in that multi-level marketing company, you are stuck. You're stuck. And I don't know. I'm the type of person I like to keep my options open. So I just wanted to make that caveat.
Conviction, presence, and vision, which is one of the most powerful things you can do. She spoke that way, and it was fine. Like, the meeting was fine and everything. But I got in my car and I was driving home, and I remember this exact spot. I was driving up the hill by Kailua Beach, and literally this inspiration, you're going to help Amy go diamond. And I wasn't even silver at the time. I was like, what? And then I was like, okay, I guess we're doing this. And
thoughts are just thoughts. We all have free will. We all can choose to act or not act on any thought. Now, am I contesting that she had this thought? No, she is painting this picture that she had it and she had no other choice but to do the activity to support that thought. And the thought control and the information control all grouped together in the situation, it makes me have so many questions. And I genuinely, I'm upset. So I'm going to let her keep talking.
That's how it all began. It was like this thought. Have you ever had a thought, something you were supposed to do in your business? Maybe it's to help your upline. Like, that was the initial thing that got me in the door. I'm a helper. I like to help people.
Nope.
And so that got me started. I didn't know all of the different reasons that would unfold for me doing this business. And you see, so often we want to know, well, why? Why am I doing this? What's it going to do for my life? How's it going to bless my family? Can you God, can you just show me?
The compensation plan can show you statistics, measurable data, talking to people in her downline at the median and lower levels to get a clearer picture, asking her how much she makes per month, how much she spends yearly on supporting her team, on travel, on running her business. Those are all things that can answer questions that will help you make an informed decision about joining a multi-level marketing company. Don't participate in this thought-stopping control that she is encouraging you to do. And again, is she doing it intentionally? I don't know. I think that the harm is there, whether she intends to encourage thought-stopping behaviors or if she unintentionally encourages thought-stopping behaviors. That's, again, my opinion based on what I am seeing and hearing from her.
Show me I just want to know, show me all the things. Is it going to be worth it? Is the outcome going to be worth it? Can you give me a guarantee if I do A, B, it's going to happen? And C and D and E and F, can you show me everything? But that's not the way it works. It never works that way. And it's so crazy that we think it's going to work that way. I didn't know. The initial inspiration was, you're going to help her go diamond. And I did. Within about 5 months, she was diamond. I was emerald. We all want guarantees. We all want security and certainty. It's a basic need, but guess what? Certainty doesn't exist, right? And so I got to work doing that. And then several months in to my business, I realized and I understood that I was given this business for other reasons as well. What? I was given this business to rescue my family.
No.
I was given this business to rescue my husband.
What?
I was given this business to help my children have a different experience. I didn't start this business to help my husband stop working as an ER doctor.
Oh.
I didn't start this business to even have him pull back from his 80-hour weeks. That was not even on my radar. But as I started to build my business and I started to see the wear and tear that his work was doing, on his body and on his mind, and really actually getting to some very, very low points in his career and in his mental health from all the stress of working for years and years and years, from the time he was 11, having a job, buying his own kids, being a valedictorian of med school, going to residency, working 12-hour shifts in a row, getting out of residency, working 3 jobs at 3 different hospitals to support.
I'm just going to say, if you are a doctor or a nurse, or you know someone who's a doctor or a nurse, just thank you or thank them, because they're incredible. And our society cannot function without doctors and nurses and paramedics and teachers and all of the people that paint them in this light and use the comparison and the weight to say, this is a horrible field, but Plexus is great. No, that's so disingenuous. It's so disingenuous. And then it is perpetrated by people listening to this and saying, my opportunity is for everyone. No.
Support our family. And you know what I used to do sometimes? It's kind of embarrassing.
Karina said, I just don't get who wants to have their husband home all the time. I love my mans, but I don't want him around 24/7.
To say this, but I think if you're honest, you could probably say that maybe you've done this as well. Is I used to complain that he wasn't home helping me with the kids and that I was doing all this on my own. And I used to complain and I used to be so frustrated. And I would be sitting on the couch watching TV, pissed off that he was at work. Do you think he really wanted to be at work? 3 jobs to support our family in Hawaii and all these babies.
Some people do not have a choice. Some people don't have a choice. It's not, I don't know what, I know someone could say this more eloquently. I'm overcome by my frustration by what she is saying.
That I was having. He didn't want to do it, but he's a good man and he's a provider.
Oh, thank you, Karina. That's so nice. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Karina.
And he'll do whatever he has to do. And so he did it without complaining. And I had this moment where I was like, I can either sit here on the couch and complain about that, or I can do something about it. Because God has given me a vehicle to change the future of our family, the trajectory of our family, my children's relationship with my.
I'm trying to figure out how to block her face because I think I messed up on. I didn't want to watch how long it was when I first blurred. Okay, just close your eyes. I'll try to blur it after after we're done being live.
Father, they can actually know their dad. They can have a closeness to their dad. He can take care of himself. He can explore his dreams. He can get out of this rat race of work.
Doctors are not in a rat race. They are helping people. They literally help people. The good doctors do. And even, I mean, I don't know what to say. I'm just shocked that she's even saying this. And yes, is it her experience that she wanted a different kind of pace for her family? Sure. But don't disparage doctors in this, I don't know. What's the right word? Don't disparage doctors to promote your business, to promote your multi-level marketing company. I don't get it.
80 hours a week. I can do something about it. I can provide that vessel or that vehicle. Awesome. I'm not going to be a woman that sits around and gets my nails done and complains about my husband never being home.
I messed up on blurring her face. I don't know what to tell you. My husband, my partner, works, and he works with really long hours and he deploys. And I wouldn't say that, and I work a full-time job. So not everyone is, to think that everyone has your experience is such a limited place to speak from. That's as nice as I can say it.
Like, it was like, I felt really convicted.
Yeah.
Very convicted. And so I got to work, obviously.
Karina said, my kid knows and loves his dad, even though he worked out of town for like 2 years and we saw him maybe every 3 months. Exactly. And my dad growing up, he worked so many hours, and not everyone has great dads. I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm just saying that the time away from family doesn't necessarily mean that you're not having quality time when you are with your family.
Obviously working really hard. And I did work a lot. I worked too much for a period of time. But you already know this about me. When I feel convicted to change, I change. When I feel convicted to do something different, I do something different. I say with 100% honesty, I don't regret anything I did in my business.
Okay. Here's what I regret so far. Using faith to manipulate others to sell your business model. Using faith manipulation to keep people in your business model longer. Using thought stopping control to tell people that they don't need all the answers before they decide to join in on your business. Participating intentionally or unintentionally, using undue influence to negatively, in my opinion, impact the team or maybe the people who are thinking about recruiting with you. So is there going to be a pivot in behavior? I don't know. She's probably never going to see my video, but that's some of the issues that I have seen so far.
I don't regret what I did. I don't regret working really hard in the beginning. And there's a lot of good lessons that came from that. I don't work the way that I used to work.
And to be fair, some people go through all that schooling and, I miss blurring her face. Some people go through that schooling and say, hey, you know what? It wasn't fulfilling. I know, Emily D. Baker worked as a lawyer for 10 years as a prosecutor, and then she's still practicing attorney. and I think she was a clerk before she was a prosecutor. And she said, you know what? There's some things at this point in my life that I want to change. And if you haven't seen her TED Talk on it, go watch it. It's really good. But I know sometimes pivots happen. So I definitely want to be fair in that point and saying he didn't maybe have a legitimate reason to pivot. I find a point in her using his pivot to promote her business and say, if you want your spouse home too, you should do Plexus. And that's one of the big issues I have.
And there's a lot of reasons why I decided to work that hard. Part of it is because I knew I needed to get my husband out of all this that he was doing. And I knew that for him to be able to feel comfortable to pull back growing up in scarcity, that I was going to have to make a significant amount of money. And so I really wanted to get to that amount of money, so that he could pull back. So I had my reasons. That doesn't mean you have to do it that way, but it might mean that you.
I feel like she is trying to cover what she is saying by when she is creating these very dynamic stories. She's telling about how she herself and her family changed by saying at the very end, now this is my story, and it doesn't have to be your story either. When you've already done the influencing, you've already created this story that people are connecting with, and it can't necessarily be undone with I was just kidding at the end, or this might not be your situation too, because you should have said that at the beginning. And you should balance what you're saying so that it is not a sweeping, shiny, object that people are drawn to.
Do it that way, right? We all have that inspiration and that pull and that push to do it.
And what does that look like in terms of your husband or partner, or your fiance, or whatever? I'm trying to say the non-gendered terms, and I'm still working on that. I'm still working on that. The person that you are building a life with, what does that look like when you've spent so much time in a higher education field, like becoming a doctor, and then you have your spouse potentially, from what I've seen, maybe in your ear saying, why aren't you home with the kids more? And I don't know that she necessarily said this, but if you're having to choose between a happier partner or your career, a lot of times people choose their partner, even though they might have wanted to stay being a doctor, or they might have wanted to stay doing what they were doing. So there has to be some knowledge of that as well, or there has to be some acknowledgement of that as well in this conversation.
What we need to do, that was mine. And so I was on my own all day, every day, because he was at work. I was having babies, nursing babies, leading Zoom calls, responding to messages. I had a team in full-blown momentum. And some of the tips that I will give you for this, if this happens to you, is communicate well with your children. Mm-hmm. Communicate well with your children. And in the beginning, I didn't. So they didn't know, like, why is mommy working? Like, why is she doing all this? Like, they didn't understand it. And a lot of mom guilt and shame comes because of lack of communication. And they're sad and they don't know what's happening. And you're trying to hide the fact that you're working, and you're hiding in the bathroom or hiding in the closet, or you know what I mean? Like, you're just like on your phone doing this stuff, and it's not on the open. You're trying to hide it, and you're not having open communication. And so after doing that for a few months and feeling incredibly guilty and incredibly shameful and having a lot of mom guilt, and it really honestly wasn't working, I decided to just talk to my kids about it. And they were not old, you guys. My oldest son was
Maddie, why are you awake?
9 when I started the business. And my young.
I think that I messed that up. Sorry. The sound came in, but I thought that I had corrected that. Apologies.
So I started to communicate. There we go. I just unmuted myself. And let them know, hey, mommy has a Zoom call from this time to this time. I'm going to be on that Zoom call. And anytime they'd be like, mommy, I want you to do this, or mommy, I want you to do that, I would be honest with them. And I would say, I can do that in 1 hour. In 1 hour, we can sit down and read books, or in 1 hour, we can sit down and play a game. And I would keep my word. I would keep my word. And that's really important. And that helped me to let go of mom guilt. But the second thing I would do is I would talk to them about why mommy was working. Okay. For me, in my case, it was because I wanted them to have more time with dad. I wanted dad to be home.
I mean, that is not a position that everyone can choose. Not everyone can have their partner home more. And in jobs where time is allocated to doing that job and your time with your family is limited, I have lots of questions. So she gets to shame her significant other for not being present, but then she stays home and isn't present. Make it make sense. Beth said, my best friend still thinks she's going to make tons of money and quit her job because of Plexus. She's at the same job, still the breadwinner for her family, and still broke 6 years later. That's, yeah, it's very painful.
And we would talk about that and how, like, hey, if dad is home, you can do more things with dad. You can go ride bikes with dad. You can go to the beach with dad. Dad will be here at bedtime. And I painted this vision because, like, literally, if you don't have vision, you lack everything.
There's also some support that you can give if your significant other, your partner, whatever the term you use for that person that you're building a life with, and if you do have children, what you say in front of your kids matters. And I'm gonna say this from a kid's perspective. My dad worked a ton, sometimes 24, 48, 36 hours in a row. And there was never a time when my mom trashed my dad in front of us by not being there. There just wasn't. And there was, sure, would we like more time with dad? Yes, we would. But there wasn't a resentment of having to feel loyalty to one parent or the other because one was so upset with this time issue. So there's a lot of things that you can do yourself. And I know she's saying, like, communicating with your kids so that you can grow your business or whatever she's trying to push here. But there's also value in saying we're a united front while we're not trying to participate in information or behavior control. I'm not going to trash my significant other in front of our kids. And I'm going to not only not trash, and it's a supporting front because you are also impacting the impression that your children have of your significant other when they're not there by how you speak of them. So I just, and that's just from my experience being a kid and what my parents did. And I know that's not the case with everyone.
Right? If you don't have vision, you're living in hell. And it was really like trying to do this business without my kids really noticing and hiding things and not communicating with them was really miserable. So when I started to communicate them and say, this is why mommy is going to sit down right here while you do your homeschool next to me. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do my school and I'm going to do my work and I'm going to be right here with you. And I'm doing this because I want daddy to be home. And I'd say, do you guys want daddy to be home? And I got them.
How would they be able to consent to that idea? In terms of you're asking them too big of a question, and why are you putting that weight on your kids? It feels manipulative. Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but if it seems manipulative to you, please let me know in the chat, or if you're on the replay crew, let me know in the comments.
Invested in this vision that dad was going to be home. And at first they fought me a little bit on it because I honestly was the mom that did everything for my kids, everything, including wiping their butts until they were 5. Okay. Like I did everything, all the laundry, put all their clothes away, made all their beds, made all the food, loaded the dishwasher, cleaned up all the toys. I did everything. And so when I started working, that had to change a little bit. I had to teach them how to fold the laundry and I had to teach them.
100%, dude. It's insanely upsettingly manipulative. Yes. Yeah. And what kid doesn't, and how can your child or any child make that informed decision when, like, you're the whole reason that they're able to exist and be alive because you put a shelter over their heads, you give them food, you give them love and nurturing. And it feels like when you choose to manipulate that relationship, especially of a child who, how are they going to be able to freely consent when they sometimes feel that they have to participate in other things to be safe at home? Her doing this to get her kids on board makes me upset. It doesn't make me upset. I am upset listening to her say this and what she did, what she told her children.
How to put their clothes away and do the 5-minute cleanup. We call it the 5-minute cleanup. I had to teach him how to do the 5-minute cleanup. And then when my kids were a little older, I taught them how to load the dishwasher. And in the beginning, there was a little bit of resistance. But you know what happened over time is that the older kids, they understood. They started to see more of what we wanted in our family. And so if a younger one would complain,
that is not the responsibility of your children. And I know that I cannot speak to this because I don't have any kids. I just have thoughts about using your own kids to keep behavior controlled in your own house. It makes me so upset. And maybe I'm reading too much into this, but exploiting kids makes me very angry. And I can't believe that she is saying this and encouraging this and teaching this to other people about what you can and can't do by keeping the information lines open, how it will impact your kids. And when they learn it, they're going to keep the younger kids fall in line. I'm probably too upset about this, but I don't see it in another way.
The older one would be like, well, mom's building this awesome business so dad can be home more with us. And you know how dad's not working every weekend? That's because mom has his business. And so then the older kids were investing the younger kids to where nobody complains about what I do anymore. Like they're just thankful.
Isn't that what happens in a cult-like setting where some people closer to the top, the older kids, or the members buy into this idea, support the leader, and then use their own decision to support the leader to control other people? I'm not saying that the kids are I don't think I'm not blaming the children. I'm being frustrated at what she has created in her own dynamics within her kids. That responsibility should not have to rest on their shoulders. They shouldn't be used as pawns to control the younger kids.
They're grateful. And I'm raising human beings that know how to contribute and know.
I'm not saying that kids shouldn't be able to learn how to keep a house or apartment or living functioning. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the putting the weight of holding those conversations on your older kids so that they keep the younger kids in line. I find that specifically problematic. I'm not talking about the chores or anything else.
How to work together as a team, and everybody has their jobs. I have one son that likes to do the dishes, one son that does all the sweeping. Like they all have their different jobs. I never do the dishes. I don't ever sweep. I don't have to fold laundry if I don't want to. Today I chose to because sometimes I like to. It's just therapeutic. But I am training up these young human beings that know how to help and contribute and don't feel entitled. And it happened because I was willing to go through the uncomfortable of communicating.
I am pro open communication. I am not sure why this is twisted like this is to try to live under the umbrella of open communication when there's seemingly problematic things that happen, and blanketing those problematic things with saying, oh, these are all good because I am openly communicating with them. I don't get it. I don't get it. Yes, very manipulative and just not right to put the burden on a child to understand the relationship between mom not being present for them and dad being able to be there more. Yes, lift panic. Yes.
And I was willing to go through the uncomfortable of maybe disappointing somebody. disappointing my kids temporarily for the greater good. And I was willing to go ahead and feel those feelings of discomfort and sometimes shame and sometimes mom guilt, and still push through and be like, but I know why I'm doing this and I know what I've been told. And so I have to do it. And I can either do it in secrecy and suffer, or I can communicate with my children and I can communicate with my husband. And so as I was growing my business and as my kids were getting old, they gradually started to help with more things. I also realized, you know what? I need to have some boundaries. I need to have some boundaries. I can't be on my phone all the time. I need to go on a date with my husband once a week.
It doesn't have to be uncomfortable to teach your kids to do chores. Maybe uncomfortable if you're aware you're being manipulative. That's a very good point, Kat.
One of my business tips, or when I'm coaching somebody in my business, if they're struggling in their marriage, or I had somebody, message me that was supposed to come to our Ruby retreat and her husband was all of a sudden changing his story. And I said, you understand it's actually not about Ruby retreat, right? Or you understand it's actually not about Plexus, right?
Please stop getting in the middle of other people's relationships. What other traditional business is the quote unquote CEO or manager going to get involved with your relationship with you and your partner? I mean, let me know. I mean, I don't think that. I think that the conversation maybe could have looked like, I'm so sorry you can't make it. Let me know if I can answer any questions. How can I support you in this decision and support your spouse? What does that look like for you? And then waiting for them to answer and then saying, okay, great, I can do that.
Because any complaint you get in your household is not actually about Plexus.
Sometimes it is about Plexus. Sometimes it is about the compensation plan. To say that thought, I guess it's thought stopping. I'm not quite sure. I'm still learning all the Byte Model stuff. And I can't easily say, oh, it's this specific thing, but I'll just replay the slides through so you can read them yourself. Sonia said, I feel like maybe the kids would end up being resentful of dad because he's the reason he's working so much. That's a good point. It's a fair point. Beth said, I'm sorry, but you're teaching kids chores. It's called life skills. I want my kids to move out one day and be an adult. Yes, my parents certainly wanted that for us.
It's just that people want your affection, your love, and your attention. And if you're not giving them affection, love, and attention, even if it's 30 minutes a day, they're going to be starving for that and they're going to act out. And the way that they act out is they act out on attacking your business, attacking what you're doing.
I will fix the blurred after the live ends so she can be more anonymous.
And then, of course, that starts the guilt and shame cycle where then maybe you pull back, but then you're resentful because you feel like you had to pull back because of your spouse. And it's just this nasty, unhealthy cycle. Instead of being like, oh, what are they actually afraid of? Oh, they're afraid they're losing me. They're afraid they're not going to have that connection with me or that attention. And so I started to be more proactive when I would notice there's some things that are a little bit off. Oh, we definitely need to get back into our dates. We need to take our dates every single week. And I got to find a babysitter and get creative about that. I need to have family hours. Family hours are like dinner time, scripture time, bedtime, hot tub time, that kind of time. That's like, this is our time as a family, and I'm not available to do calls. And maybe your family hours are different.
Traditional business models, I think most of them encourage business hours. It doesn't seem to be encouraged in most multi-level marketing companies. It doesn't seem to be encouraged. Again, the companies themselves, I'm sure they're going to say, well, that's not really written in any of the rules that we provide to our independent contractors. Okay, the ideas that are perpetuated by the independent contractors are so-and-so, and there is seemingly no correction by the multi-level marketing companies. So it seems like there is basically an unintentional support of those behaviors because they're not getting in trouble with their companies.
In the beginning, I would start working early in the morning and I'd be like responding to messages. You guys, it was messy. Like, I'm not afraid to share the messy because, again, I don't have shame or regret anything. But I would be doing this while trying to get my kids ready for school. And I realized, oh my goodness, that's not good. My attention needs to be on my kids. Like, when they first get up, I need to be present, making them breakfast. So I made that adjustment. It's not about guilting yourself or shaming yourself. It's just making these little adjustments to where, okay, in the morning, and even to this day, I go work out in the morning. I come home, I'm in the kitchen for about an hour. We're talking, we're making food, we're spending time together.
I guess she homeschools. I'm not ragging on homeschoolers. I don't think association with homeschoolers means you're in a cult. I was playing tennis full time in high school. I homeschooled and I did a correspondence school, and I went to our local community college for math and science and honors English and stuff like that. So I know maybe I am culty. I don't know, but I don't want to paint a picture that disparages homeschooling when not all homeschoolers are associated with these undue influence kind of thinking.
That's technically family time. That's not work time. So setting family hours as opposed to business hours. And that's going to be different for everyone based on the stage of life that your kids are in, or if they're in school or homeschooled or whatever that is. But set some specific family hours where your family knows they can rely on you to be present, and plug your phone in the bathroom or in a different room. Have a date night with your spouse. I promise you, if your spouse is feeling like they're getting attention and like you are still there for them, they'll support your business. Okay.
Or the support is saying, hey, let's do a profit and loss statement. Let's see if we can afford this business. Let's see if you're actually making money. Let's figure it out. And either let's stop losing as much money as we're currently losing, or if you're making money, great. The support doesn't necessarily mean, yeah, I'm gung-ho for your opportunity. Sometimes it means, hey, can we plug some of these holes that seem to lead to significant leaks that are wrecking our lives? And it's not culty. I went to homeschool simply to keep my kids safe. I was born into a cult. Wow. So that explains the homeschooling. It can be very culty, not always, but it can be. I think it can be, absolutely. And I did know some more, I guess, people like that growing up. I guess because I was a little bit out of it, but I'm scared to say I was homeschooled, but I was homeschooled.
In the beginning, they'll have some resistance. Mine did. But once I turned to giving him specific attention on a regular basis, going on a date, going on a walk.
Is this not controlling your spouse? I understand what she is saying. Are there other implications of what she's saying and how she is controlling his behavior by giving him more attention? Similarly to what that LuLaRoe CEO said about in that book and all the other stuff. If you haven't watched the documentary, you need to go watch it because she said some crazy things.
Outside, we walk almost every day. We take a walk together and we just talk. We're not on our phones. Once I did that, it was like whatever I wanted to do and however he could support me. So those were three things, I guess: communicating with my kids, having family hours, having a date night with my husband, every single week. Those are the things that helped me to continue to grow my business, to not shrink or play small, to not have any kind of resentment in my relationship or my situation, because I was being honest about what I knew I needed to do, why I was doing it, and at the same time, I was committing to my family. I'm committed to you. These hours are yours. We also do family date nights. We do a family date night every week, like where maybe it's just moving.
Yeah, and I do know that some people because of how I was playing sports so much on more rigorous schedule, I guess, I maybe was predisposed to the idea that jobs and things took up a lot of time away from your family. So when I was in my multi-level marketing companies, I thought this is normal. And I think Karina's right. I think it should be the other way around. I definitely think it should. And again, if you are in a higher demand job like a doctor or a nurse or a paramedic or a firefighter or something that takes a lot of hours where you're helping people, I understand the need to schedule things for sure. This situation, it seems different because you're supposed to be able to work from home. And there's no one that's necessarily relying on these products to like stay alive. And so I'm just have lots of questions. I have lots of questions. I think it would depend on the relationship. Sometimes the couple needs to have that time together. Yeah. Yep.
Movie night and popcorn at home, or sometimes it might be going out to some place that we want to go to, but we do a family date night. So they know I'm committed to them, and it's not just about work. It's not just about the business. So those are some things that I've done along the way to help grow my business and keep a good, strong marriage and a good focus on my family. A lot of people think that if they are going to go all in with the business, it means they're taking their focus away from the family. And they're terrified of that because maybe.
I mean, here we see we're watching her Zoom call right now. At what time is it? Very late at night. So sleep deprivation, and you've already taken time away from the family to do this call. So I'm confused at, it seems indirect contradiction to what she is saying right now.
You waited a long time to have a family, or it was really hard to have a family, or family and faith are so important to you. It's like so important to you, the very most important thing. And you struggle with feeling like this is a competing interest, and you only see it as a competing interest or a distraction from your family or something that's going to harm your family or harm your marriage.
I think that it is very reasonable to say time spent away could negatively impact a relationship, and to try to explain it away that is not necessarily a potential outcome is disingenuous. It goes back to that information control and that deception.
It's really this I call it like basically having the syndrome where you don't believe you can have it all. Right? It's like one or the other. I can either have a great marriage or make $1 million. I can either have happy, well-adjusted kids or have a really successful Plexus business. I can either be strong in my faith and spiritually strong or financially well off. Anybody ever struggle with that? Maybe you're in that place right now and you feel like it's.
How is she personally supporting this idea of not being extremist when earlier she said to thought stop and just do the business model? How can you make an informed decision and learn how to have that balance when you're encouraged earlier on in this Zoom call to not ask questions? I'm getting more. I have more and more questions that are leading to more and more questions the more I watch this.
Just really not possible to have it all. Like something has to give, and my family's going to suffer if I do any more, or my health is going to suffer.
It's like them claiming they have time freedom, and we know they do not. Yep.
Does that resonate with anybody? Kim says she still struggles with it. Okay. I just want to invite you to shift your mindset on this. And
I'll just let her finish her statement.
I want to invite you to write yourself. You can write yourself a letter, you can journal on this, or you can take some time to really think about it. And I want to invite you to think about how your posterity and your family and your children and their children and their children will be blessed.
Okay, the generational wealth point that I have seen on so many Zoom calls. I'm not saying that some of these people are not making a stupid amount of money. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the reasoning for this to get you to do something different. Is that the most effective? I mean, it's effective for her. Is it effective in the grand scheme of not being deceptive? No. That's my opinion.
Because of many different things. Number one, when you grow and you develop and you deepen your faith and you increase your courage and you learn how to show up and be present and conquer fears, and your family gets to see that, they get to see a righteous, good woman developing and overcoming.
I guess only women can be a part of Plexus. Or I don't understand. She doesn't have any men on her team. Oh wait, she does. They're their partners, or maybe there are some same sex partnerships and marriages, but that is such a very like gendered perspective.
Coming fears and growing her faith, and that is a power.
Instilling new map of reality under thought control. Exactly what she's doing right here, in my opinion.
Powerful blessing to your family. It doesn't take from your family. It adds to your family. See, what you see as taking away from your family, I see as adding to your family. Your success.
Rob said generational wealth and MLM is a lie. There's nothing to leave in a will. Just stop. Yep.
Means that your family is a benefactor of your success, and not just financially, but in what they watch you overcome. And so I'm a huge fan.
Okay, I don't think that there's a lot of weight to her making this statement and having her kids watch what she is overcoming, because of the way that she told us that she manipulated her kids in the beginning and telling them the reason that she has to work is to bring the dad home, and playing on their kids' attachment to their dad to make it okay for her to be able to work. I don't think that she has the foundation to stand on to make that statement.
And letting your kids see you cry, letting your kids see you be frustrated, letting your kids listen in while you're pouring into someone and coaching them and blessing them. I recently had the opportunity to be in Portugal and to earn a shopping spree. My kids got to see me buy something really extreme.
Not only is she showing what happened on her trip that she got to go to, income claim, and that she got to go on a shopping spree, lifestyle claim, she's using that story to impact the people watching the video for her training, to encourage them that they too might be able to achieve that. I'm just, why? The words you say on the internet matter. And I hope that I like hold tight to this idea as I create content, but what you are doing in a leadership position, influencing the people on your team, or in this situation on your downline, it absolutely matters. And like, where is the thought? Where is the consideration to make sure that you are not unduly influencing them and potentially harming them? Why not take the extra care to do that? I don't get it.
Extravagant for somebody on my team that does not really see herself as a queen and as magnificent as she is. And I told them the story. I tell my kids all the stories. I tell them stories about people in my business.
Avery said this sounds like emotional manipulation. I think it is for sure. Manipulate and narrow the range of feelings. Some emotions and our needs are deemed. Yeah. And so I think she's doing it in a more subtle way for sure. Teach emotion stopping techniques. I think if you, well, I'll keep playing. So, and I'll keep this on the screen so you can read it if you want to.
I want them to know why I'm doing this. I want them to know that my work has purpose, and that my purpose is not just to make money. My purpose is to elevate families and women and help people in their lives to better their lives, to improve their lives. That my business is not just my business. My business is God's work.
Oh, no.
They get to see that.
No.
It does not.
Nope. Okay, here's the thing. I understand including your kids in the idea that we work hard. Here's how we balance the budget. Here's how the income comes in. I find it dangerous to manipulate and to put that burden on your kids. Same thing with family vlogging and other situations where they feel that they can't speak up or say no to something because the only reason that they have a house or they have food or they have all this other stuff is because of this job so they don't feel like they can say no. And when you get to that point where you've manipulated your kid, I take issue with that, because you're the reason, like, you're taking care of them and they have limited ability to survive on their own, and then to go further and manipulate them. No, I'm not for this. I don't appreciate how she is explaining this and what she is doing in terms of running her business.
Not take anything from my motherhood. It does not take anything from me being a wife. It only adds to my family. Doesn't add anything if I don't share with them. If I'm not talking about what's happening, if I'm not talking about how people's lives are changing, how their health is changing, how their finances are changing, how they were able to get out of this bad circumstance. If I don't tell them about that stuff, yeah, it feels like mom's work is just taking her away from the family for no reason except for money. But when my kids get to see the purpose of my work and they get to be involved in it, and they get to help in various ways, they feel like they're a part of it, and they understand that it's for a purpose. And I'm hoping that I'm teaching them to serve and to give and to grow and to develop.
The mixing up of these ideas, that some of them I think are valuable to have, with what she has done, I feel like, to create the situation where she's put her kids in a position where it's a lose situation in how they perceive her business. It makes her life easier in being able to run her business without these interruptions or these irritations. And are you sharing that information with them without crossing the line into manipulating, controlling their behavior, controlling their emotions, controlling their thoughts? If you are crossing the line, I don't agree with that.
And here is a manifestation of that. I spent my first few years in the business really struggling hard with this. I understand you, Kim. I understand what you're feeling, Kelly and Emma and Valerie. I understand it, but I am asking you to entertain the idea that quite possibly you're wrong.
This is that reality change.
Quite possibly you're wrong. And what you are brave enough to do is going.
Okay, I'm going to bring up a slide again. Where is it? That's not it. Information. Nope. And still new map of reality. So it's that thought control again. And that's my perspective, my interpretation of what I understand about thought control and what she's doing here. I mean, let me know if you agree in the comments or in the live chat.
To change your family for generations to come. My kids, because we've been fearless, and I've had a lot of fears. I shouldn't even say fearless. I've had a lot of fears, but I've pushed through. I've communicated a lot. I've asked them to step up. I've asked them to participate and be a part of the team and help. And they know what this.
I understand the idea of training and being able to show your kids how the house works, and like how to keep the house clean and general hygiene, and being able to attempt to be healthy. Like, and I'm not going to explain this very well, but doing this, I feel like, is stepping into an arena that isn't healthy for the kids, and healthy in a, and I'm not a medical professional. I'm not licensed in anything. I'm saying this from what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing. It's concerning to hear it. And then to my question being, do the kids feel like they can say no? Do they? And I'm not trying to paint her in a bad light at all. I don't feel like I don't know. Maybe you can articulate it better in the live stream or the live stream chat or the comments than I can. I'm just frustrated.
This work is all about. My kids, if you ever watch any of my stuff, they're exceptional human beings. They're respectful. They're hardworking. My 15-year-old's graduating from high school. He's going to start getting his degree from Purdue this summer. My 14-year-old is going to just take his GED test, and he'll have his associate's degree in college this summer. My kids are so helpful in the house, outside of the house. When we go to visit.
I did a live stream with Amy several weeks ago about the problems that obedient and compliant children can face. And we just had a conversation about some of the pitfalls that you can run into. And I'm not saying that being helpful isn't good. I'm saying that it gives the person in leadership less speed bumps in terms of someone feeling like they can speak up or speak up against an idea or say, share a dissenting opinion. And I'm not trying to paint helpful kids in a bad light. I'm saying that there are some pitfalls, and how can you equip them and help them advocate for themselves, being more helpful or obedient. And it sounds like there has been an environment, and this is all my speculation based on what I'm hearing, that there was an environment that was used to encourage this type of behavior. And we can't paint a complete picture about someone's home life just from the few minutes that we've watched. I just say that I have questions, and I'm passionate about not exploiting kids. And that's incredible that her kids sound intelligent and that they are seeming to do things early with their academics. That's great. I'm not trying to shame them or shade them. I just have a lot of questions.
Somebody else, like we will go, sometimes I'll go a couple hours to another team member's, house and do a sip and share or a training or whatever. I got to bring my kids with me, right? Like I'll bring my kids with me. Guess what my kids do? They go into her house. They start doing her dishes.
Well,
they start sweeping her floor. They start serving her. I'm sorry. How am I hurting my children?
I'm not saying that. It's more of a nuanced idea than you directly physically harming your kids. And again, this is just a viewer's perspective. This is just one person talking on the internet and me giving my 12 cents that nobody asked for. I don't know. I don't want to speak to stuff and feel regret about saying something later. So I will just keep playing.
How is that hurting my children? In any definition, how is that hurting my children?
Children don't necessarily, unless, and again, I am a relatively compliant. I was a relatively compliant kid. I have some things that I wouldn't budge on regardless of what the authority figure would tell me. I am genuinely I like helping. I like serving, all of the hot words. My parents never pushed that on me to be more, to go and clean or go and, do stuff in a business perspective. And yeah, sure, if you're working from home, sometimes your kids have to go with you. Yeah, but they don't get a choice. They don't get a choice to be able to go or not. She's putting them in a position where they can be used. And thank you for helping me articulate this idea. I am very, and again, the internet can become a really heated place on the internet. And we're talking about ideas where people are being exploited and harmed. And then kids getting exploited, it does bring up a certain amount of emotion in me. And I'm trying to be very calm here, but I'm upset. I don't like the idea or hearing that kids are being exploited. And as a parent, sometimes you can say, I'm not exploiting my kids. But when there's a limited ability for them to give informed consent in terms of, hey, we know that everything in our life depends on mom's job and you have to go with me because you can't stay home by yourself. Do they feel like they can go and just be kids or maybe, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to hedge what I'm saying to be respectful, and I keep coming up against like, nope, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say, I shouldn't say that. Be nice. And I'm trying to be pointed, but also respectful. So thank you, Sonia.
I'm teaching them how to be good men and how to be good women and how to serve and how to not be entitled and how to, love and give love. 100, 1000% guarantee. If I hadn't decided to do this business and I only stuck with being a stay-at-home mom, I'd still be doing everything for my kids. And they'd be complaining.
That is your own, that would be her own decision, and the impact that her decisions have on her kids shouldn't be the kids' responsibility. And she is basically, she seems to be giving credibility and making it okay that she did Plexus by saying, look at how good my kids have turned out because I did this business. And just because there's correlation doesn't mean that's causation. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, and the reason that she started having her kids help her was not about her mental understanding that having them be equipped to manage a home or manage an apartment or manage a living that was good for them. She did it to free up time. So I don't understand using that now to prove the validity of her business to what she has said earlier. And you can go back and watch what she said. It's not, I think that's easily understandable about what she said earlier.
They'd be entitled. I would still be doing everything for my kids. Doing everything for your kids and giving all of your attention to your kids all the time is not helping them. Yes, giving them focused attention, giving them intentional.
I'm going to let her keep talking.
Attention, looking at them in the eyes, making memories, like those things are so important, but it doesn't have to be the totality of your day. It does not have to be the totality of your day. And so I look over at what is happening in my family, in my house, and I have seen that it has been necessary. And it was hard to make that change because, one of the things that I realized, and this will maybe be one of the last messages I'll give, is that me wanting things to stay exactly the same and not be uncomfortable and maybe staying in totally traditional roles, me wanting to do that and to be comfortable was actually really selfish. Because I never for once thought about what my husband would want or what my kids would want or what his dreams might be. I never ever once thought about what he wanted. I just expected him to go out and work and work and work and work. I never once.
Your experience is not other people's experience. And just because you have experienced something does not mean that other people have experienced that same thing. To create this training off of your own experience is okay. That's your own decision, but she's painting this picture that everyone is faced with this idea, and that's not the case. And to not realize that there's such diversity and a dynamic range of experiences in the world it makes me blink a lot, for sure.
I thought, gosh, would he want to make memories with the kids? Instead, I would think about like, oh my goodness, if I work too hard or if I go to this thing, I might miss this for the kids. I never once thought about how he would miss things, how he wouldn't go to the school thing, or he would miss a birthday because he'd be at work, or he wouldn't get to go to the school play, or he wouldn't get to do this and that. And then one day it dawned on me like, oh my goodness, I have given my family and my kids the greatest gift. I've given them time with their father. I've given them time as a whole family, and I would do it all over again. I do all the messy. I do all the working too much. I would do all of it because, hello, when I get the prompting and I know I need to change, I change, right? When you get the prompting and you know you need to change, you change. But don't shame yourself. Don't guilt yourself. Don't beat yourself up.
Okay.
If you know you're doing this for a purpose and a reason, you want to bless your family, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. There's going to be challenges. It's going to be messy. You're going to have to communicate. Your kids might complain sometimes. Your husband might complain sometimes. Don't go in your bedroom and cry and stop working your business for a week.
Because that would impact her commission check. I don't.
Instead, ask yourself, I wonder what that's really all about. You know what? I need to go on a date with my husband.
I think we're going to stop that right there for today because I didn't realize that it would take me so long to get through this video. And I'm not about to overflow. I'm not overflow. Overstimulate you guys with too much video. So I'm going to do part 2. I didn't expect this video that Dave sent me to be so full of gems to discuss. I can't believe that it was said. I'm shocked that it was said. I'm shocked that these are the ideas that are being shared and spread throughout Plexus. And I'm not saying that it's contained only to Plexus. So, hey Jessica, you might have to catch the replay because I'm about to stop the stream. I appreciate everyone joining in the live chat. I'm super grateful to the replay crew. You know I love hanging out with you guys in the comments. If you do like this content, want to come back for next time, I'd love for you to subscribe, like the video, leave a comment. I am Say Hello to DC across all platforms, and I'm not on Snapchat. I'm a little too old, I think, to understand that, but I am on TikTok and I'm on Instagram and I'm here on YouTube, and I love long form content. I would love to oh great, that's awesome. I'm gonna head over there after I end the stream. I hope to see you next time. I always love hanging out with you guys, and I will see you on the next stream. Bye.